Dudes, it's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So we've got a massive weekly reset for you today, and also a ton of new stuff later this week as far as free loot. You got Xaku Prime access and a guaranteed triple Tau shard starting on Friday. So let's get right into that stuff. But before we do, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, discussion videos, all that kind of stuff. In the right place for Warframe content. And yeah, we're also live on stream right now, and we'll be doing the weekly reset missions right after this video goes up. So come on, stop by. All right, so I'm not bluffing today. We got the actual big loot this week, starting with the Umbra Forma at Teshin. 150 steel essence for an Umbra Forma, but even going further, we have relic packs at Teshin. Why are these more exciting than usual? Well, Xaku Prime access starts on Wednesday, and as long as you don't buy your relic packs yet, you could get Xaku Prime relics for steel essence starting on Wednesday once the Xaku Prime hotfix comes out, okay? So, if you got a bunch of steel essence ready to go for Wednesday, you'll be hopefully happy about that. But yeah, if you want to get Baruch Prime relics before Baruch gets vaulted on Wednesday, you can also technically do that as well. But yeah, Xaku starting on Wednesday with also the Trumna Prime and the Quasis Prime melee. Additionally, big loot this week, besides Xaku Prime, we have the QTCC next alert coming out starting on November 15th at 2 p.m. ET and going until November 29th at 2 p.m. ET. You can get guaranteed triple Tau shards for doing a simple alert. And as far as we can tell, this quest, or rather this alert, does not require the Veilbreaker quest completion to run it. So yeah, just make sure you sign up for the next 2 weeks. Additionally, you saw the Umbra Forma at Teshin. There's also an Umbra Forma alert, if you haven't done it yet, from the previous week's QTCC alert. Also, another thing that's really glitched out is this Doraz Zone over here. As you can see, there is a lot of repeat stuff. So let's try to find the actual loot in here. I found... okay, there's an Orokin reactor. What is going on over here? Maybe the miscellaneous button could help. Either way, I saw an Orokin reactor. I think that the Doraz Zone store is glitched out to have multiple control modules. I mean, there's literally multiple decorations here too, so kind of hard to report on this one today, guys. But I did see an Orokin reactor, so that could be remotely worth it. I don't see any Rivens. I see a Forma blueprint. I see an Orokin reactor, and the rest of it does not look too hot. So I think we can pretty much skip out on the Pathos clamps this week. But yeah, if you do want to get this down here, there is an Orokin reactor technically, which is an easy way to get for not spending plat.
I barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, I did. If that was the case last week, I definitely didn't notice it. But yeah, either way, don't worry too much about Pathos clamps this week, because there will be other things to spend Pathos clamps on. Mainly these new these Incarnons that came back today. That are some of the best Incarnons. So not only do we have Xaku Prime, free Tau shards, you've got some of the best Incarnons in the entire game. We'll go over that right after the Elite Deep Archimedean mission types. Yeah, so even for me as a super late game player, 3 guaranteed Tau shards is pretty amazing. It will be one of each blue, yellow, and red. So yeah, the more red you have, the more purple shards you can make, and orange shards, and all that kind of stuff. So another great place to get Tau shards is going to be over here at the Elite Deep Archimedean, and the boss fight is back again, it seems like. So too bad we didn't do a prediction for that today. But yeah, if you have access to or if you're rank 5 with the Kavia Syndicate, you could do this mission on a weekly basis. And it's a really easy, or not easy, a relatively consistent way to get Archon shards. Now, as far as the mission types this week, we've got Alchemy, Disruption, and Assassination, the final boss fight. Some people don't really like Alchemy, but at least it's not mere defense. So for Alchemy, your modifiers are going to be Eximus and Force. Eximus units always drop and Force. Oh no, it's this modifier. So last time this modifier was here, Eximus and Force would cause massive frame drops. Like your game would be lagging out like crazy. So hopefully that's not the case. It also makes it where the grenades are very annoying to get because they're only drop from Eximus units. So be aware of that. At least it's the first mission. The last time I was here was the second mission, and this mission took about 20 minutes last time. So be very careful with Eximus and Force. Second modifier, Myopic Munitions. Enemies will only take damage if a player is within 15 meters of them. So get ready for lots of immune Eximus in this mission. And for the last one, for Alchemy, Devil's Bargain. Allies within 4 meters of a slight enemy gain increased fire rate and expend more ammo efficiency. So you drain all your ammo instantly if you're near a dead enemy, pretty much. So a pretty easy alchemy, but just be careful about those frame drops and potential glitches with Xmas Amphors. Second mission, Disruption. First modifier, double Demolishers. 2 Demolishers will spawn to attack the conduit, but their health is reduced. A pretty fun modifier. It's not exactly more difficult with this active. It's just fun. You have 2 Demolish you have to kill, and they're a lot easier to kill than a normal Demolish. So yeah. Next one, Post-Mortal Surges. Slight enemies explode with Void Energy. They can be pretty deadly explosions. Just be aware of where you are when enemies are dying, but shouldn't be too big of a deal at the end of the day. And the last one, Hostile Regeneration. Enemies will slowly regenerate their health. That's actually a very, very easy disruption, I'd say, right there. And for your final mission, the final boss fight. You've got Relentless Tide. The Fragmented Tide never stops attacking, so constant attacks, constant enemies attacking as well. Get ready to nuke down. So me having Sevagoth here is extremely free, because Sevagoth can nuke down all the trash ads in that fight very easily. So I'll be probably playing Sevagoth on that final mission. And then for the last 2 modifiers, oh boy, Vampiric Limitus. Oh, this might be a pretty annoying boss fight this week, actually. The little vampire clouds will be there in the boss fight room with you, draining your health and your energy. And just be aware, you can slow them down with like Gloom. So yeah, Sevagoth is very good this week. But other things can work too, like... I think mostly, so like Cold Proc should work on them, so they're not too bad. Just be aware of where they are in the room when they're floating around, because this thing will be constantly attacking as well. And for your final modifier, Commanding Colvarans. Rogue Colvaran enemies will deal 5 times damage to Overguard and mechs. So Dante will still be a free clear on this, but maybe you'll have to cast your Overguard a little bit more often with Dante. As far as the personal modifiers, you can go for Abbreviated Abilities, massively reducing your ability duration. Lethargic Shields, increasing your shield duration delay by 500%. So you can't really depend on the normal shields with that as well. Harrow can be very good for this to get instant shields back. Energy Exhaustion, lose 2 energy per second for each enemy within 10 meters of you. So in that final boss room, you'll be draining a lot of energy constantly. So be careful about that with the Limitus too. And then for the final one, Knife Step Syndrome. Lose 2 health while moving. Jumping will pause the effect. So no disabled, no operators turned off, no... Elite On-Call turned off. It's going to be pretty straightforward here. Just be careful in that final boss room. So we got some pretty decent loot as well. Now moving on to Bird 3. Before we go over the amazing Incarnons this week, we got the Crimson Archon Shard at Bird 3. Just what I needed, actually. We get some more red Tau Shards, because you can fuse these up into Taus nowadays. Alright, so yeah, it looked like my gear was pretty decent there. I had like the Strun with Sevagoth, which would be really, really powerful in that final boss room. Keep in mind though, that boss has a lot of damage attenuation, so those fire procs aren't going to do a whole lot. Alright, moving on to the Daviri stuff. Let's check out our normal path Daviri first. We've got Saren, Vauban, and Nova. So, talk about some a couple good frames here. Saren is going to be not the easiest to farm. She comes from the Kale to Fame fight on Sedna, which requires you to farm Judgment points to farm her in the first place. Not a hard boss fight, but just takes a little bit to even get to the farming location off the bat. So, a decent choice. Her helmet ability is Bolt, which is a very good helmet that will let you get easy shield gate and Status Purge. Also a movement speed increase. We got Vauban as our second choice. He comes from Nightwave Creds, actually. So this could be probably the smartest choice this week, because picking Vauban here will save you Nightwave Nora Creds. So keep that in mind. This is probably the smartest choice, but he's not the best choice, like as far as power level. His helmet ability is Tesla Nervos, which throws out these like, electric orbs. And for Nova, she's really easy to farm from the Raptor boss fight. But if you don't want to farm that boss for whatever reason, you get the Null Star helmet from her, which is still pretty good after the changes. But yeah, best choice Vauban, because you're saving on Nora Creds, even though Vauban ain't exactly the most popular frame. Moving on to the Steel Path Incarnons, you got some of the big dogs this week. But before we go over that stuff, let's just remind everyone, if you haven't played in a while, you can actually get Kuva or a Riven, or some Rivens, instead of getting any of these Incarnons if you already have all the Incarnons, because you don't really need a duplicate for most of these. But yeah, if you don't have these in the first place, this is the week to farm some Warframe, basically. Got the Torrid Incarnon, the Dual Toxicist Incarnon, the Dual Ichor Incarnon, the Miter Incarnon, and the Atomos Incarnon. These are some of the best guns in the whole game, and some of the best Incarnons in the whole game, like, without even questioning it. So, as far as the Torrid Incarnon, this thing is viewed by a lot of players as the best primary in the game. It's definitely up there. It could get a lot of high-level kills and have a lot of AoE, too. But yeah, it's normally a grenade launcher. It does toxin damage. And you can build the Incarnon form on this weapon with direct hits. Once you charge your Incarnon form, you have a chaining beam gun that has base toxin, which can do some very powerful combinations like corrosive cold, pure toxin if you're feeling crazy. It can do viral, it can do a lot of stuff, and it's a very, very hard-hitting beam with these Incarnon perks like Commodore's Fortune giving so much crit chance. I have to mention it too, basically. These weapons, a lot of these have maximum Riven stats. So if you have a Riven for this thing, you are enhancing these perks and stats even further to get like red crits and to get like tons of status chance, tons of damage, tons of elements. It's a very, very powerful gun. And for a lot of players, they'd recommend this as number 1. And I'm going to probably recommend it to you this week for number 1 as well if you don't have it. If you do already have it, there's other things you could pick. But yeah, number 1 choice, probably the Tor this week, guys. It's pretty much like everybody in the game has to have it at this point because it is really reliable and really easy to use. Dual Toxist Incarnon. Pretty much the best pistol in the game in my opinion. It's like this, the Furus, and like maybe one or other 2 secondaries to like compete. But this thing, so strong, so powerful, extremely high stat rivens, just like the Torrid. The Incarnon form of this thing, it does require headshots to enter the Incarnon form, but once you do, this thing will ricochet between enemies and become full auto. The ricochet does a lot of damage, and if you put punch through on this thing, it does ricochet, double ricochets basically for even more enemies hit. So perks, Commodore's Fortune, just like the Torrid, get tons and tons of crit chance. This thing has actually good lower tier perks too, like Fevered Frenzy. On ability cast, 5% multi-shot, stack to 20 times. How's the 100% built-in multi-shot sounding to you? Pretty good, huh? So you throw another multi-shot, like a Riven or whatever, you're 400% multi-shot, something crazy like that. So really, really powerful pistol. It can clear out level 10,000 enemies in 1 bullet. It's a full auto gun, and it can kill them in 1 bullet, level 10,000. So that's the power level we're talking here. And I got some videos on the channel with builds on that if you want to check them out too. Dual Ichor Incarnon. Now, this thing used to be like the god melee, basically. It would create these clouds that would chain between like the entire tile set. The entire tile set is basically dead with the old version of this thing with melee influence. It's since been nerfed. It no longer is as OP as that. But at the end of the day, it's still a really strong melee that has built-in toxin damage. And as far as the Incarnon form, on kill, it will make enemies have like a toxin cloud where they die to their corpse. Additionally, this thing, it's not exactly a mobility stat stick. That's one of the things I'd say, it kind of pulls it back against other weapons, is that once you're in the Incarnon form, you get sprint speed and parkour velocity, but for actual mobility stat sticks like the Okina and the Praetos, they always have their mobility active. So that's an issue to me, but yeah, if you want to kill some level 10,000 Thrax the melee, these are probably some of the best dual swords in the game, easily. Go with Absolute Valor, giving increased status chance, because this thing does not have a crit chance increase, unfortunately, unlike these other ones. But yeah, still really good, but nerfed compared to back in the day. Probably a lower recommendation compared to these other things. Next weapon, the Miter Incarnon. We get a saw blade launcher, and when it goes to Incarnon form with some headshots, it will become an exploding, homing saw blade launcher that goes after multiple enemies. Now, I made it sound really cool, but unfortunately, this thing having homing means it does not always get headshots because it homes in the middle of their body. So, body shots doing less than headshots is not exactly surprising. So be aware of that. But this thing is so focused on crit, they can actually kill an Acolyte really, really easily. And it also has an augment mod called Neutralizing Justice that can actually instantly destroy a nullifier bubble too. So you have anti-Acolyte and anti-nullifier, and also like it's just a fun weapon in general too. I love this thing, but I would say it is a lower recommendation than the Torrid just because it's the homing kind has hurt it in certain ways in my opinion, but still a great option nonetheless. And for your final option here, the Atomos Incarnon, you got this. So the Atomos normal is like a starter weapon, like an MR5 pistol. This thing is like, you basically take your MR5 pistol and make it end game level. The Incarnon version of this will actually give you a grenade launcher after you get some headshots. The thing about this weapon is that it will, when it chains nearby enemies, that's what the Atomos does at base, it kills enemies trying to get headshots on, it doesn't get headshots. So it has like a problem where it does too much damage, kind of. So just be aware of that, that it's just a good beam, basically, that has a very powerful grenade launcher that you might not have access to all the time. As far as your top tier Incarnons, though, you have a bunch of crit chance on here with Commodore's Fortune. Commodore's Fortune on lots of the things today, I've noticed. And we've also got Moonrise Velocity, giving increased beam range. That's actually really good for a beam pistol like this. And yeah, you got plenty of good options on here. Paladin's Virtue. when you have over 700 maximum energy, you get built-in base extra crit damage multiplier. So this thing can hit really hard. The Miter and the Atomos can one-shot Acolytes, but that's a thing. A lot of things can one-shot Acolytes. So as far as number 1, number 2 this week, guys, it's going to be the Torrid as number 1 and the Dual Toxicist as number 2. If you already have the Torrid and the Dual Toxicist, number 3 and 4 would probably be the Miter as number 3 and the Dual Ichor as number 4. But some players really like dual swords, so if you like melees more than guns, I can understand if you put the Dual Ichor above the Miter. Atomos would probably be the lowest recommendation, as it has issues with getting headshots because it just kills things too quickly at normal levels. And it also has not had the best ammo capacity either, to be fair. The ammo capacity, like you can increase the ammo capacity, but then you're losing out on the increased beam range, so not exactly the best trade-off there. So, yeah, hope that was helpful to you guys. Let's move on to the NIGHTWAVE. And keep in mind, too, that NIGHTWAVE has no end in sight, so no big rush to do these NIGHTWAVE challenges. But as far as NIGHTWAVE challenges this week, first one's going to be Kleptomaniac. Open 30 lockers. Pretty straightforward. Polarized. Polarize a weapon with a Forma, so but not in the Simulacrum. Because if you do it in the Simulacrum, it doesn't count. Because reasons. Next, the Profit Taker. Kill the PT. I will hopefully have a PT guide out this week, but I do want to put a little bit more effort into it, the other PT guides with maybe some other frame builds besides just Chroma. But we'll see about that. But yeah, requires rank 5 with Fortuna to get access to this fight. Then the last Elite Weekly is going to be the Many Made Whole. Exchange 10 Riven Slivers for a Riven Mod. Some people keep telling me, hey, make sure you remind people about the Palladina and Iron Wake in these videos. I don't really cover that stuff in these videos because they're not RNG, but yeah, on a weekly basis, you can go to Palladina on Iron Wake to turn in some Riven Slivers for free Rivens. You can also go to Archimedean Yanta on the Zeramon to get free Kuva. And am I forgetting anyone else? I think those are the 2 main ones. But yeah, either way, go to Archimedean Yanta and Iron Wake on a weekly basis if you can. And for your permanent weeklies, you get Maximus Eliminator, Mission Complete, and Not a Warning Shot. Just basically do generic Warframe stuff like kill Eximus and complete missions. Let's see if the crit offering store is as glitched out as the Doraz Zone store this week. Looks pretty normal so far. We got some good helmets, it looks like, with Caliban Cranion helmet if you don't want to use the deluxe for some reason. You got a Gyre helmet here, just basically evergreen stuff. Ooh, Jade's helmet is here. That's cool. So if you haven't gotten Jade's alternate helmet, that's available here. How's the crafting requirements look? Very, very fair crafting requirements. And this is the helmet I use on Jade personally. So yeah, as a Jade player, I'd recommend this helmet for sure. As far as the rest of the stuff here, nothing too crazy looking. Ooh, actually we have Dizzying Rounds for the Bronco. So if you're planning on using the Bronco Incarnon at any point, definitely get this mod. It's a special NIGHTWAVE mod. It makes the Bronco and the Bronco Incarnon, for that matter, have a special ability where shots from less than 8 meters away will stun enemies open up for finishers. It also gives you 200% increased status chance on all shots. So for the Bronco, it can have a lot of impact. There's a mod that makes impact procs and the slash procs. You can get tons of slash procs with this mod. Not to mention it sets enemies up for finishers too, which can be decent utility in some situations. As far as the rest of the stuff here, critical precision for the Tiburon, definitely more niche. You can get a lot of crits with the Tiburon, but there's no Tiburon Incarnon, and it's a very niche playstyle, like just basically focusing entirely on headshots. But if you could just keep getting headshots, this Tiburon mod can give you a lot of crit stats, which is kind of cool. As far as your aura mods, nothing looking too crazy with these aura mods. These are definitely not the meta ones at all. And for NIGHTWAVE, Mastery Fodder stuff, we got the Jaw Sword blueprint. Ooh, the Ceramic Dagger blueprint's also here. Man, talk about a loot week. Jeez. Also got the Heat Sword blueprint. So crazy, crazy loot this week. You even got the Ceramic Dagger if you don't have that yet, but not the Incarnon, unfortunately. And for your Conclave Augment mods, Power 3 for Ivara, Skull Shots for the Viper, Rumble for Atlas, and Directed Convergence for the Supra. Wouldn't really recommend any of these unless you're using the Viper. You can use Skull Shots. And that is basically it for your weekly reset, guys. So yeah, big reminder, if you have not done your Umbra Forma alert from last week, do it before Friday or you're not going to have access to it anymore. And then starting on Friday, oh my gosh, Dante Invigoration too. Starting on Friday, get those guaranteed triple Tau shards just for playing an easy alert, okay? I think it's like going to be a level 20 defense or something low like that. So get ready for free loot. As far as our Invigorations, these are random per week per player. And the stats I have will be different compared to you. If you want to get access to this stuff, rank 5 with the Necrolisk Syndicate, like the upstairs of it. And if you want to get it quicker, you could buy it in the market for like, I think it's like 300 plat. But yeah, let's see what we got this week. Okay, for Wisp, we got melee damage and energy rate. Pretty good for Wisp. Energy rate is pretty much free because you just Can always be airborne, basically, with Wisp. And melee damage can work on things like the Glaive while jumping. So very nice Wisp Invigoration. I might have to use that, actually. I'm going to look at the Dante one last, because I hope the Dante one's really good. We got Banshee with melee critical chance and reload speed. I will be using Banshee to kill my Kuva Lich on Wednesday, so that could be pretty good for Wednesday. But yeah, decent one for Banshee. And the last one for Dante, 1,000 armor and 250% primary damage. Okay, armor on Dante might be one of the most useless stats you can get. I'm actually trying to think what would be a more useless stat on Dante besides armor. But either way, not a great one to end it off with, but should be fun to try out this Wisp one at least at some point. So I'll see you guys next time. Appreciate the support. And yeah, good luck getting those Xaku parts and all that on Wednesday. I'll be covering it and farming it with you guys on Wednesday. And all the big loot on Friday too, guys. Take it easy. Peace.